Hello everybody, it is Emery48 here, and welcome back to Star Wars video. Today we are continuing on the Legends timeline with the novel Jedi Trial by David Sherman and Dan Cragg. It takes place in 22 BBY, and we're still in this weird time in the Legends timeline where things seem to be a little out of order. Pick up where the last video ended, just over halfway through the book at chapter 17. Dooku has ordered Tonith to have his droid army retreat in order to reposition and prepare for the fight against Halcyon and Anakin. Tonith wanted to use Reyja as a propaganda tool and have her read a scripted message to the Senate begging them to remove Anakin's troops in order to stop her staff from execution, but she changed the script at the end and told the Senate to push the attack. Chapter 18, Anakin has met Slake, who is not happy to see how inexperienced the commanders of the Republic Army are. Slake also does not like clones. Palpatine and Armand Isard was shown the recording of Reyja by Lieutenant Jen Bean, the Senatorial Communications Center watch officer. Palpatine told Jen Bean to keep this top secret while he decides the best action to take, knowing that Jen Bean will relay the message anyway. Jen Bean has prepared to send the transmission to someone he trusts will do something with it. Anakin met with Halcyon before going to speak with Slake. Chapter 19. The Separatist reinforcements are on the way to Praesitlyn. Slake, Anakin, and Halcyon met. It was a bumpy start, but after being shown Reyja's message, they are determined and ready to work together. Anakin seems very angered. Maybe Reyja reminds him of his mother. Chapter 20. Halcyon, Anakin, and Slake developed the battle plan. Lox and Grudo are going to lead a reconnaissance mission to get intelligence on the enemy fortification. Tonith prepared his commanders and said no one in the army will sleep tonight. When they were dismissed, he went to his quarters for some sleep. The reconnaissance teams were briefed and are ready to go. 2 teams of clone commandos and one with Lox and Grudo. Odie and Urk have started to try and cut through the rock, but it will certainly take a while. They're using some kind of tool that kind of burns its way through. Chapter 21. Odie and Urk have cut a hole big enough to stick a hand through when they heard artillery laying down fire to protect the reconnaissance mission. Grudo took out at least a dozen droids after they were spotted on the reconnaissance mission. So far, everyone is alive. Urk and Odie made it out of the bunker as Lox and Grudo's group were running by. Odie shot into the group thinking it was part of a Separatist attack, hitting Grudo in the head. Lox got her to stop firing. Urk has been burned from cutting through the rock. Lox reported to Slake, Halcyon, and Anakin. Halcyon is going to lead the diversion attack straight down the middle while Anakin attacks a flank, where Lox had discovered weaknesses. Anakin visited Grudo in the medbay where he died from his wound. Chapter 22. Halcyon only took Lox's information into account to plan the attack and not the 2 teams of clone commandos. Clone Commando Team 1 had memorized every gun on their flank and found it to be the weakest point. Unfortunately, the artillery started firing to allow Lox's team back in, but the clone team was behind enemy lines, and the only one that had survived the reconnaissance was killed by friendly artillery. Anakin briefed his commanders on their battle attack and started getting into position. Chapter 23. The Separatists have found the bodies of 5 clone commandos killed by the Republic artillery. Tonith decided that was the side the Republic would attack from and ordered the troops to reposition accordingly. The Republic launched their attack. Odie and Urk were told to leave the medbay before the wounded came in. They did not get out in time and both were shocked at the extent of the injuries. Odie cried and Urk threw up shortly after they left. Halcyon and Slake have come up with a new plan, utilizing Slake's remaining troops to try and turn the tide of the battle as their attack was failing. Chapter 24. Slake sent Urk and Odie to help his commander of artillery. There they met a protocol droid that explained all of its abilities in a way that felt like the author was trying to hit a word count in a college essay. I think the overall story of this book is interesting, but the parts that are expanded on and then the parts that are rushed feel inverted to me. I feel like there's parts that should have been expanded on more, and then parts that took forever probably only needed a page. Chapter 25. Anakin's transport was destroyed. Only he and his clone driver survived. They regrouped with another transport. Tonith was able to issue orders to Halcyon's troops as they discovered his codes. Anakin's troops are continuing to fight for the hill but have hit mines, another drawback for the Republic. Anakin led a new group up the hill, then their transports were hit by their own artillery. Colonel Grease Manx, head of artillery from Slake's army, thinks he got an order from Halcyon giving new coordinates to hit, but they were from Tonith to hit Republic troops. Anakin contacted Halcyon, who now called off the attack and got Manx to readjust his firing. The commanders now know that their communications have been compromised. Tonith gave a battle report to Ventress, who said Dooku would be pleased. Ventress did also threaten to kill Tonith whenever they meet. Chapter 26, Anakin came up with a plan to rescue hostages with a small force. They are going to take 2 transports, one flown by Anakin and the other flown by Irk. Odie, Vic, and Raiders, 2 guards from Halcyon's ship, and 15 clones are going to attempt the rescue mission. Once successful, the fleet in orbit can demolish the communications center, destroying the droid army. Chapter 27, Captain Dondo Foth of the Republic's Mandian and Lieutenant Commander Vitroth are responsible for scouting 150,000 kilometers beyond the orbital fleet around Praesitlyn. The Mandian spotted a small black vessel in the distance moving very slow. It will be to their position in 2.5 hours. They have notified the fleet and will keep an eye on it. Anakin prepared the troops for their attack. The group successfully entered the communications center and got to the hostages. Anakin destroyed roughly 24 droids along the way, losing 1 clone. Now that whole thing was about 2-3 pages, which was less than the amount of time that the protocol droid was explaining its abilities. Just doesn't make sense. Tonith has ordered all the hostages killed. Raja gave Anakin a hug and a kiss on the cheek. She then stepped in front of a bolt from a droid, stopping it from reaching Anakin. He held her as she died and was reminded of his mother. His rage consumed him, and he became an Avenger once again. I didn't know this was a world with Tony Stark in it, but it's good for him for being on the Avengers. Chapter 28. The Mandian fled as the Separatist fleet got into range. They have more advanced stealth technology than the Republic. It is the biggest fleet Foth has ever seen. Anakin ignored the plan and stayed in the communications center. Irk took off with the hostages. Odie, Vic, and Raiders are going back in to help Anakin. The droids blew up the other transport. Irk called into the command center to update the commanders on the progress of their mission. At the same time, they got word from the fleet of the incoming Separatist reinforcements. Anakin stormed into Tonith's bunker, got him to admit a ceasefire, and was about to kill him and all his technicians when he heard Qui-Gon tell him to use the Force for good. Anakin snapped out of it and took them all prisoner. Chapter 29. Halcyon contacted Anakin. They both updated each other on the new updates. Anakin and Halcyon joined the space battle. Anakin destroyed the enemy flagship, but was very close to it when it exploded. Chapter 30. Halcyon landed back on Praesitlyn thinking Anakin had died, but a short time later, Anakin landed in his very damaged ship. Odie and Irk asked Anakin to marry them, and I know they've been through a lot, but I'm pretty sure they've known each other for about a week, which is very quick to get married. Epilogue. Anakin married Odie and Irk. Mace Windu and Yoda spoke, deciding that Anakin would become a Jedi Knight upon his return, even though Yoda is worried about the disturbances he felt in the Force from Anakin during the battle. On the opposite side, Darth Sidious had also felt the disturbance in the Force and was very pleased. That is all I have for Jedi Trial. Overall, it was good. It's not gonna crack the great realm for me, but it was a decent read. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.